What's up guys, DukeSloth here, and today we're taking a first look at the patch notes for patch 5.1 hotfix notes round number 2. Now, technically speaking, these aren't full-on patch notes, these are hotfix notes, these are changes to patch 5.1, so they're definitely not the size of patch 5.1, but there are quite a few changes that kind of change the pacing of the game and the use of certain items. So I figured it would be worth making a video about this on its own, as it will, change how everything on PTS is played and will have an impact on what happens afterwards as well. Once again, these won't be too long, but I think they're interesting to go over. So first of all, we have map changes. Increase Gold Fury health per minute from 225 to 275. That's quite a decent chunk. 50 extra health per minute will add up over time. And the same thing is happening for the Pyromancer as well as the Fire Giant. Every one of them gets a 50 health per minute increase. In addition to that, we also have changes to the XP of the Fire Giant and the Enhanced Fire Giant. He gets an extra 5 XP per minute. I guess this kind of compensates a little bit for the fact that you're having to take him down and he has more health, but it also gives you a little more benefit for killing the Fire Giant, especially if you're the team in the lead. You will get this extra XP spike through the Fire Giant. Question is if you will need it when you kill a Fire Giant, because mostly this happens around the later levels anyways, but it could especially be beneficial for the support. Then reduced lane minion gold per 3 minute from 1 to 0.5, so the increase is decreased basically. And this is quite crucial because basically almost a consensus among the pros at the moment is that the camps or the lanes in general give too much gold in comparison to the XP that you get. And keeping that in mind, I think it's a good change to have this decrease here to kind of slow down the game at least a little bit. And the same thing is happening for the jungle camps too, where the gold per 3 minutes is decreased from 2 to 1.5. From that sound of that, it still kind of seems to be the case that gold's a little bit easier to come by in the jungle right now. And then we also have a cap. Lane minion and jungle camp scaling caps at 21 minutes. This means their worth will increase 7 times in total, obviously, because it's like a 3 minute interval, each for the above amount. So that means that towards the end of the game, we won't have this insane spiking basically of anything really. And that will be very beneficial in that regard. And jungle bosses are a little different here. Jungle boss scaling caps at 25 minutes. Same as in Season 4, but add for reference. Then we also have various balance changes aside of this, which will already affect how the game feels right now. In talking about the balance changes, we'll begin with the changes to the blessings. All recommended items have been updated to include Season 5 items, nothing too crazy here. But then the blessings. Mage blessing. Decrease bonus damage from abilities from 30 to 25. That's actually not as drastic of a change as I expected it to have. I think, yeah, it's 5 damage less per tick of that, but with it basically ticking as many times as you want to with no internal cooldown or anything, that doesn't really make too much of a difference. It's just a little less damage, but those who benefit the most from the item will still benefit the most from the item now. I'm really surprised that this item doesn't get some sort of internal cooldown, because even with Bluestone Pendant, you had the, indirect cooldown of it only stacking twice max, and the damage wouldn't be instant anyways. Whereas Mage's Blessing is just instant damage, no condition. Kind of weird. And then the MP5 was decreased from 3 to 2 per stack. I don't think MP5 was really this item's problem, though. I think MP5, yeah. It's good, but it's not really the issue of the item. I think considering how strong Mage's Blessing was, I'll see it. Hunter's Blessing increased MP5 from 5 to 10. I don't know if this was needed. It seems to be a bit excessive for certain hunters, I feel. 10 MP5 just right off the bat from a very cheap starter item. Maybe it's to prevent people just going right into trance or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's the thing. Warrior's Blessing. Oh, by the way, this also applies, for guys that can now kind of make it into solo with this item. Strong benefit for them there. And Warrior's Blessing gets a change, increased health from 50 to 100, a little bit more survivability there, and added plus 40 mana restored per god damage trigger. I think one god damage trigger is every 10 seconds, so overall the mana that you can get back from this is quite decent. Think about it, it's basically 20 MP5 if you hit it consistently. At the same time, you have to keep in mind that you have to hit an enemy god with something for it to happen in the first place, which typically will cost you mana as well. Not always, but typically. So kind of a bit of an upside for Warrior's Blessing here, which was basically the weakest blessing that we had so far. So that's very understandable. A bit of a nerf to Mage's Blessing, which was the strongest blessing, and Hunter's Blessing, I don't know where that's coming from. What I'm kind of missing a little bit, and that's more a question of if the meta will shape that way or not, is a buff to Assassin's Blessing along with a buff to the jungle camp's health or tankiness, survivability overall. Because right now the jungle camps are still super squishy. You can clear them very quickly, which basically makes Assassin's Blessing very unnecessary for many junglers at least. Not all junglers, but many junglers. Even like squishy mage junglers, even Habois doesn't need the Assassin's Blessing. You can get it, but you don't have to. You can go with Mage's Blessing and you're just fine. So I am not entirely sure why we don't see any changes to the jungle, but that might be something where Hi-Rez is just testing for now and just seeing how things develop or whatever. Who knows? We'll see. Aside of that, we also have other item changes or updates. So Obsidian Shotta in Spain, Spell Focus Warrior's Bane. Description and design updated to apply all percentage pen to gods only, even the non-scaling part. This is kind of interesting because especially the scaling part shouldn't have applied to structures, which it did before, which is bad. But the fact that Titan's Bane does no longer apply to any structures, anything on the map at all. Wow. It's strange to me. I don't know. This will change a lot of things. It will even change things for Duel, by the way. We saw more and more of the Executioner, but even in the Mage department now, Obsidian Shotta, taking a hit there. I don't know where this is coming from. I understand that the scaling part was too much for structures, but I don't understand why at least the non-scaling part doesn't still apply to structures, because that was one of the big reasons, at least for Titan's Bane, to have any sort of viability on hunters, for that item to compete with Executioner at all. Maybe it's that due to the changed stats and the pen that can get that, after all, Titan's Bane has more competition with Executioner to begin with now. On certain gods, against certain gods, maybe. It's strange. Sorry, it's super strange to talk about. My bad, that was my phone. So I'm not sure about this one. Like, it was such a core essential part of Titan's Bane to be the ability-based structure pushing item. Also the option for example, assassins to have a bit of structure push and everything. And that's completely out the window just for the pen. But, Executioner still gets close to the same pen, at least in most situations, and there's attack speed on top of that. Strange change. You'll see if it maybe comes back at least to some degree. Next item, Tywin's Fang. Updated description to make the item's effect more clear. Good, because it's a mess at the moment. Tywin's Fang increases healing gained from lifesteal and thus allows higher lifesteal than the 65% cap. That's not actually any change. That's what it was before. It's just, information. The power bonus from lifesteal from this item is not affected by the other part of the passive. Fine. At the moment there was a glitch, or like recently there was a glitch at least, with the power indication of the passive not even being shown properly, even though it applied. Other than that, I already talked about this in another video. Heart of the Urchin fixed an issue where the timer that regenerated the shield would stop after death. Okay, cool. That's just a hotfix. Girl of Thebes. This item now stacks off of jungle monster assists too. That one is a very good one. I think that's very, very nice as it allows the support basically to roam more with the jungler if he wants to, get stacks that way, test out new things, you know, like sharing jungle camps, whatever. I don't think sharing jungle camps seems to be the way to go so far, but could possibly be, and this would allow it, as many other things, you know, that just would be unnecessary restrictions otherwise. I am not quite sure what is up with the Guardian's Blessing. I think that does not stack off jungle. Not entirely sure, but if it doesn't, it probably should. Don't know from the top of my head. Would have to check that. Reinforced Griefs boots cost increased to 1,550. Sure, I guess. Gods. Anubis. Passive description update. Change Sorrow bonus lifesteal from item stats to bonus healing from lifesteal. So it's basically getting the Typhon's Fang treatment in the same go, so that it's bonus healing as well. This has been changed to be more consistent with Typhons. The cap is still 65% lifesteal, but Anubis can get additional healing beyond that through his passive. The interesting thing is that there's no explanation on how Typhons and Anubis passive interact. As far as I understand it, they actually just add. There are two different values that add as bonus healing. So kind of like, you know, Rod of Asclepius would as well. So as such, Anubis can get a whole lot of lifesteal. Passive abilities. General note. Oh god, this is a long one. All gods who have passive abilities that can deal damage should trigger items. These abilities will trigger ability-based passives by default. Mage's Blessing and Spear of the Magus. Many gods who fit in the above character have their bonus damage listed as basic attack damage. Those will trigger basic attack items, Hunter's Blessing or Telekine's Ring. Any gods that are not listed here should adhere to the rules above. Some gods have their own item trigger effects that should be described in the abilities. Kanuna's passive triggers no items. Good. Izanami triggers them only on the first target hit. Very good. Her being able to proc something against the entire wave, that was no good, G. Erlang Shen applies debuffs twice and damage at a reduced fraction. Also something that's known, the dog just has that little... For example, when you have Concise, there's a little bit of extra damage from him, but not the full damage. Now it gets weird. AMC, Beast, passive ability. This damage dealt by this ability now triggers Mage's Blessing. I guess to some degree that's fair because his one can't proc Mage's Blessing. But it's also kind of odd. I don't think I like that. Susano, Gathering Storm, passive ability. This damage dealt by this ability now triggers Mage's Blessing. Also kind of weird to me because it doesn't even feel like its own ability to begin with. And it makes it feel like he's gonna proc a lot of procs of Mage's Blessing. If that's an extra proc on top of an ability proc, basically, it's like a double proc. Ouch. Agni, Combustion. This damage dealt by this ability now triggers Mage's Blessing. Same thing here. Double procking, basically, in certain situations. Don't think we needed that, but sure. Athena, Reach. This ability has been adjusted to deal only basic attack damage and thus only trigger basic attack item effects. That's very good because there was already an issue with Vamtron in the past, and it would have definitely been more of an issue with Mage's Blessing now, giving her that twice for every single ability, for every clearing ability especially. Athena Solo would have been crazy. Athena Jungle would have been really good. Terra, Standing Stones. This ability has been adjusted to deal only basic attack damage and thus only trigger basic attack item effects. Also good because I'm not even sure why it triggers anything to begin with, but it shouldn't be the Mage's Blessing. I don't want to see a Terra just running you down a lane with Mage's Blessing procs. Overall, I'm not sure if I like this way, this development, this direction. I think Mage's Blessing was very, very strong to begin with, and what has been changed doesn't really change the issues. Low cooldown mages still benefit a lot more from it than others, or like low cooldown characters, sorry. And stance swapping characters in general also benefit a lot more from it than others because, you know, having 2 abilities very early in the game, for example, can give you the edge of your opponent in terms of damage. And older proccing Mage's Blessing 4 times on level 2, that's not fun. And I'm not sure why it's a thing, you know. It's literally, it's more than what you would proc with Bluestar most of the time, because with Bluestone you would have to execute the combo so quickly that you wouldn't effectively be able to utilize all the stacks. It's, you know, it's strange. I can understand the nice part, the interactiveness of this, and Highest Ajax has actually said that they're going to release all these blessings that we have in Conquest for the other modes as well now because of these interesting interactions. But at the same time, did we really need that? Because I would have thought we actually get like a timer, like a say like it can only proc every 2 seconds or so thing on top of it. But from what it seems so far, it's actually quite the opposite. And I don't know if that's the way to go. And I would not be surprised if Mage's Blessing gets a nerf for that on the road. And then last but not least, we have a lot of bug fixes. Fixed an issue where minion spawner doors in Season 5 Conquest map don't align. Okay, fixed an issue where Souls made Cerberus' 3rd ability don't take damage from abilities. It made Cerberus' 3rd ability not take damage from abilities? I'm not... Oh, so... No, wait, the Souls? So basically the Souls didn't take damage from abilities? I'm not sure what this even means, but whatever. Seems to be a minor glitch. Fixed Aphrodite and Soulmate having weird material applied during Aphro Soul, whatever. Increased tankiness of jungle bosses. So I actually missed out on this because this is not really a bug. This is not really a bug fix in my eyes. This is a change. And this is interesting because that then means that the Assassin's Blessing may be more useful after all. Not sure why this falls under a bug fix, but the more you know. So jungle bosses have been buffed after all, but it seems like it's just bosses. Let's see if there's anything else. Added cap to XP, a gold scaling to jungle camps and minions, cap of 8, and XP to gold and cap to XP and gold scaling to jungle bosses, cap of 25. Trying to see if this cap is any different. I'm not really fully understanding what cap of 8 is supposed. If it's 8 scaling stacks, because up at the top it said 7. So I'm quite sure which one it is here. And the cap of 25 should be minute 25. So something is a bit wonky here. Not sure which one is the one that actually got applied, but the tankiness part definitely did. Fixed collision towards the back of each base and side lanes. Fire Giant and Gold Fury will now trigger accurate alerts when killed. Fix an issue where Season 5 Conquest Death Camera can get stuck in Titan's Crystal. Updated Cerberus Ultimate to only suspend guards in the air. That I think is interesting. Must have like accidentally like picked up minions as well. Fixed an issue where Cerberus Souls sometimes prevented him from auto-attacking his target. This is important because this is an actual annoying glitch basically where the attack wouldn't go through. Fixed an issue where Cerberus Souls could body block auto-attacks. I would think that's the same thing actually, but yeah, that's what I was talking about at least. Fixed an issue where that would cause players to crash in game. Also glad that that's fixed. We have more bugs at the moment. We have a crash with DirectX 11 that makes you crash if you stay in mid lane for too long. Don't ask me how that particular specific thing happens. And unfortunately, we don't really have any information what happens with the jungle bosses exactly now. I don't think there's anything up top regarding the tankiness. We'll see if that actually does anything, if that makes much of a difference. But that's something to find out later on. We'll leave it at that for now. I think these changes are mostly good, but the approach that has been taken for Mage's Blessing seems strange to me, and we'll see how that develops down the line, and we'll have to see how much the jungle camps have actually been buffed, because I feel like it's a bit too easy to clear them, especially for those who don't have jungly items. I'd rather have the camps be a little bit harder to clear, but Assassin's Blessing be a little bit better, so well, basically not everyone can clear anything from their lane anymore all the time. At the same time, there's usually enough spawn anyways. And with that, thank you guys very much for watching. If you're new to the channel, feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell. It really helps me out. See you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth out. And as we're doing this live right now, I'm just going to do my outro right here for you, as you always requested. Eventually, I'm going to do a professional version of it. There's going to be a lot of links around you that you can click. So, you know, if you want to check out my channel or my Twitch or one of the other videos or playlists, that's all somewhere around here. And I will do this. Kill me now.